When I was 5 years old, you hit me for the first time. I still remember that day. All I did was miss the bowl when I was pouring my Lucky Charms for my breakfast that morning. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that you hit your 5-year-old son or that I had enough knowledge to make my food in the morning when I was 5. When I was 7, I realized that kids in my school didn't have constant pain caused by parents who didn't care enough about them to make sure that they didn't have bruises speckling their bodies like pebbles along the sidewalk of the school bus stop my older brother would take me to every day. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that I had to hide bruises or the fact that it was my 9-year-old brother, not you, who walked me to the bus stop every morning like a father would have done. When I was 9, I was hospitalized for the first time because of you. You left me so weak that I couldn't breathe. All I did was come home 10 minutes too late and forget the chores that I needed to have done before you walked through that door. I am not sure which is worse. The fact that I was seeing a doctor because of wounds that I could not explain without fear of going home and getting beaten up again, or the fact that I needed to do chores that a father would have done when I was 13. You did something to me that is beyond unforgivable. You took something from me that was never yours to take. You had me in a way that no one but the someone that I love should have me. You put something inside of me that had no right being there in the first place. I am not who I am today because of you. I am not sure which is worse, the fact that I was held down in your bed and stolen in ways that are indescribable in words, or the fact that I still can't tell anybody about it without wanting to slit open my own stomach and try to rip out whatever you took, whatever you put in me. When I was 13, I thought about suicide. When I was 13, I tried it. When I was 13, my brother found me almost lifeless on the bathroom floor. When I was 13, my brother saved my life. When I was 13, my brother asked me what was wrong. And you told me that if I said anything, you would do exactly what you did before. That night still haunts my best dreams. It is burned into my mind and has affected who I am and everything that I have been able to do. My boyfriend still cannot touch me without me flinching, lashing out, thinking that it is you or that he is about to do what you did on that night when I was 13. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell him until just a few months ago. He held me as I cried and comforted me about a past that he barely knew haunted me, and he told me that everything would be all right, and for once in my life, I believed him. They say that abusive parents raise abusive kids, but to me, that's a lie. I cannot look at myself in the mirror without imagining hands gripping around my throat and making their way down my chest to places that should never have been touched by hands that rough. I am haunted. I am scared. There is not a night that I do not sleep without wondering if your hands will be on me the next morning or whether it will be my boyfriend's hands around me. How could I possibly pass this on to my own kids? They will not and cannot be blood related to me, and I know already that I will treat them better than you ever treated me. You are not my father because I never had one. I had a mother up until when I was 5. She died of cancer. You killed her and I didn't. I will never treat the man that I love like you treated me. This isn't supposed to be all about me, though. So let me get straight to the point. I didn't realize it at the time, but not only were you threatening me, telling me what to do, doing things that my mouth physically will not say even now, but you were also keeping me in the dark. I had no say in my lack of knowledge about the world, because if I did know, I would have run. I would have spoken, but you silenced my voice before I even knew how to use it, and now, all I can do is think about how I want to crawl into a hole and bury myself and try so hard to forget everything that you have ever done. I wish that this story was just about me, but sadly, it is a story that I have heard far too many times in my less than 2 decades of life. How male victims, and victims in general, are silenced because they should have enjoyed it, because they should have fought back. After all, men are stronger than women, right? So it can only be natural for men never to get raped, right? Because I am gay, it must have been okay for you to do what you did to me, right? Right? I must have enjoyed it. Aren't all gay people supposed to enjoy weird things like that? Oh, and just so you know, that was sarcasm. Let me tell you what happens when you are given a male body and you are gay and you are raped by a man. People will ignore your triggers. Although, let's be honest, that's not really something that is specific to gay people or men. But anyways, they will say daddy jokes around you. They will say that word so many times, and they will make rape jokes about women and men and everybody else. They will ignore you until you are dying inside of your mind and your heart shrivels up inside of your chest, because you cannot tell them how sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night screaming and your partner wakes up and holds you and tries to calm you down. But you cannot tell them that their touch feels like magma. It burns with the memories of what he did, burns with the thought that somebody else had contact with your skin. Contact that was in no way, shape, or form consensual. And what people don't understand is that there is no such thing as non-consensual sex, because that is rape. Non-consensual sex implies that there is such a thing as sex that does not involve the word yes or any other form of consent, and let's be honest, it's a little bit redundant. Because I was unable to fight back, like Ava. Maybe that's something you all will understand better. I wasn't able to consent because I was 13, because nobody had told me what consent meant, because my father had hidden me from the rest of the world, sheltered me inside of this idea that if I misbehaved, I would get hurt. It was a different kind of forced loneliness for her, though, for Ava, because she had tourists that would show up, and when they stopped showing up, her and her family began a dark descent into separation. And yet, despite all of this, despite their mother's and my own mother's death, the sky changed. Page 24. And life moved on. Even after terrible things happen, after parents die and kids get raped, we still have to go on. Sometimes those we trust are the people who do horrible things. After all, Ava trusted the Birdman. Blanche on some level had to trust Stanley. I trusted my dad, and look at what happened to us. Ava will not speak about it. Blanche broke, and I am so lost that I cannot begin to tell you how I'm still here. And I think that the worst thing is how innocent these terrible things can be. They come in the form of help, of safety, of husbands and fathers. Sometimes we have no say, other times we protest. Some of us are physically fought and beaten like Blanche and myself. I had nowhere to go, and neither did she, and from my perspective, Ava was lucky, because once it happened, she was able to take off. She found her family, and she was able to live a life separate from that event, kind of. And although it may haunt her later in her life, at least for now, she's free. Free is a word that I will never know.